Okay, for today's video, all I want to try to get accomplished is put this first generation talking Thomas motor back together. If you want to catch up with the other videos, go back and take a look at them. So the first thing I do is I got to put this motor back into the other side of its clamshell. So we take it and we set it back inside. Remember I told you to lay it out in a certain way so you know which pieces go where. All right, that piece is in. All right. Next piece I got to put on is this little guy right here. Now, this guy sits right there, and it goes right inside, right like this. Sits right like that, right there. Okay. That piece is there. These are the two contacts for the switch. All right. That's one contact right there. And this is the other contact for the switch. Now we're going to throw the switch back on there. All right, this is the off and on switch. Now if you look, and we got it turned off, see the gap right there that gets created? Whoop, let me see if I can focus it. See the gap that gets created right there? See that black gap? That's when it's turned off. The two contacts are not touching each other. When you turn it like this on, you make a full contact from this side through the switch to the other side. And that makes a complete circuit. All right, but that goes on there. All right, next we're going to put the cover for this back on. Tighten it down. Okay, it's back in its spot. All right. Next thing we got to set up is we got to put the flywheel back on, back in its spot. Now, normally at this point I would lube everything up, but the lube that I use is sort of foamy and messy, and it would make it hard to see everything. So let's go ahead and put the flywheel back in. The flywheel is in its spot. Got the flywheel up here and the worm gear down there. Next one, I'm going to set this down for a second. This gear, this is your on and off switch gear. All right, notice this spring. See that spring? When you turn on the on switch, it has like a ramp built into it. I should have showed you. But when you turn that switch on, it pushes that gear forward. All right, and when you shut it off, it slides back out. See how that's going back and forth on that? That spring keeps it, so it's always tension on it and always wanting to push it back. So when you have it, I'm going to put it in a slot. Well, let me show you really quick. Set that down. Maybe we can show you. All right, there's a little hole right there. If you see that little hole. If I turn the switch on, it should go gray. See it go gray in that little hole? That is the switch pushing up on the shaft of that gear right there. All right, it should go black again here when I turn it off. That's because it went away, that little ramp. So we're going to put it back in its hole. Okay. Now, I'm going to put my hand here to act like it's... Now, when I turn the switch on, it'll raise that gear up. Well, it's catching on this right here. It's going to raise that little gear up. And that gear comes in contact with the worm gear. See how it just came in contact with the worm gear? That worm gear turns that gear, which turns the rest of them. So let's turn that back down. Okay, it sits back down in there. All right, next gear is this little gear right here that goes in this little spot. Okay, and then this gear. Let's put it down and talk about this gear here for a minute. All right, this is the little gear that's inside the motor but comes in contact with your wheels, your wheel gear. All right, like, yeah, it's hard to get my fingers in the right spot. Comes in contact with your wheel gear, right like that. Okay, now, whenever you play with your toy and it's moving around the track, okay, and it's moving around the track, and you hold on to it and make it go click, 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 click. What is actually, and I can't do it because it's so spring, there's a spring right here, and it's so tight, but if you look at that little knot right there, these two, this is two pieces. This is one piece and that's the other piece. And what happens when you hold on to it, the gears start, I can't do it with my hand, but the knock you hear is this this little gear right here. See that little knot right? That's going to click, 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 click. So it's keeping you from tearing up all the gears inside there. All right, we're going to put it back in its spot. Springs are always on the bottom, and it's sitting in its spot. Now we're going to close it up, and this is where you hope and pray a lot on this part right here, that you line everything up. Okay, because 1, 2, 3 pieces all have to line up to get it all come back together again. Oh, and I lined it back up. Okay, that tab is underneath there. Okay, and we're going to put the 2 screws back in. Normally, like I said, is at this point I would have lubed it, but if I would have lubed it, you would have never saw the gears. Tighten it up. Put the two retainings, keep the 2 halves together. And hey, while we got it, let's take it, test it, make sure it runs. And it still runs. All right. Thanks for watching.